And we're going to go over 5 steps for finding the perfect influencer. Meet them as soon as next week if we've got things lined up. So we're going to kind of talk about our own path, Natalie and I's own path. We're going from talking about affiliate marketing, that's our background, over to influencer marketing, which is where we spend most of our days today online. And one of the keys that we found is that we've been able to get more reach with the ROI, that return on investment that we all know and love from affiliate marketing. We get a bit more scale to it. So Natalie Weber, our lead writer and our brand 411er, was kind enough to join me. Natalie helps us promote a lot of our brands, our merchants to our influencers. So we're going to be leaning on her throughout our discussion today. So our agenda, and as Jamie mentioned, we'd like to make this as interactive as possible. So we will take your questions throughout. You see that at number 5. You are welcome to type those in at any time. Give us a shout. We're also going to be asking your input as we go, and we'll get to actually my first question that I have for you soon enough. So again, we'll talk about our path from affiliates to influencers. We will chat about ROI, the best return on investment for your what we call collabs, which is how influencers tend to frame the partnership that you would have with them. So we'll talk about that as well, how we can get your brand, your products, and your partner apps in front of influencers, not just any influencer, but really someone who's specific to what you are selling. So you'll see that specificity and focus, as with anything in marketing, is going to be a key here as well. Go over our 5 steps, and then again, we'll take your questions. We will block some time afterwards, but go ahead and give us a shout at any time here. So we evolved ourselves from affiliate marketing over the influencer world. So I'll give you that spiel, but if Jamie and our media maestro Adam, if you could go ahead and launch our first poll here, what I would love to ask you is, what types of partners are you working with today? So I assume, since we are talking through Affiliate Summit, and I've attended the last 4 affiliate summits, of course, back when we could actually go in person to Las Vegas and have some cocktails together in person. So hopefully, again, soon here on that front. But where are we coming from in terms of partners? So are we looking at affiliates? Have you begun to look at influencers yet? Or is this kind of your first foray in terms of kicking the tires on that? Or have we done a little bit so far? Or other, whether we're talking ambassadors, people who will work with free product for free, or you tell me on that side of things. So looks like we've got good experience on both ends. So this is great. So affiliates, as expected here, a lot of experience on the affiliate marketing side. Nice to also see near equal experience on the influencer side. So let's go through kind of that path that took us from the affiliate side over to the influencers. Then we will talk more specifics on the influencer marketing side of things. So I myself was one of the co-founders of a company called Lead Dino. We started that company in 2012, and we did so to provide affiliate tracking. Like stubborn software people, it spun out of another company that I had called Chrometa, which was a time tracking software company that we started in 2008. Partner program became a big thing, and we looked at affiliate marketing packages. And then, of course, again, like thick-headed software people, decided to build our own thing, and that launched Lead Dino. We built it. My co-founder asked me, should I just build it or should I build it as a product? How much time will it take you to build it as a product? Well, it'll take me another month or two. I said, okay, well, let's go for it. Well, sure enough, within a couple of years, the company that spun off was larger than the first one. So we did a lot in the affiliate marketing side of things. Around 2016 or so, we realized that many of our merchants, many of our customers it was a challenge to find affiliates. You could set up the program, but then how do you go out and find the affiliates? Well, fast forward to 2021, and that is all we do at Affluencer, which is a company that we spun out of Lead Dino and took that affiliate network that we started in 2016 with us. Finding influencers now is our focus. So taking those lessons learned and kind of going all the way up and down the chain. So some influencers will work on a commission basis, might be closer to your traditional affiliates. Some influencers who are going to want to be paid up front. So we will talk about all of these types of potential partners as we go here. So let me rewind to that 2016 moment, how we built an affiliate network. One thing, and this is when we were fortunate to bring Natalie on board and her golden pen in terms of writing up the affiliate programs that we had in our network. And with that, I would like to bring in Natalie here and have her comment on these. So Natalie, remember back in the day, we were sending out these newsletters. We called it the E-commerce Affiliate Network, or ECA. And what we tried to do is slice and dice, and we had a sense for it in terms of the focus with each newsletter. So can you talk about how we would split those up between health, and a lot of this was, as you know, I was always doing a million things, so a lot of it was on you. Got to slice and dice these newsletters. So can you talk about those if you rattle the memory on that?
Actually, it feels like ages ago, but I mean, we worked with a number of categories in the affiliate space, and I remember we would basically filter out brands that, good quality brands that offered really good quality products. And I think back in the day, it was, the competitiveness as far as commissions that were offered. And I mean, in that era, that was a completely different era. That was during the peak of the blogging era, which is a completely different space then as it is now. Content was consumed so much differently then as it is today. But it feels like a long time.
It does. It's funny how
we've come through. Yeah.
It is funny how the year can pass. We were talking at the end of 2020 how that, even though it was a memorable year for other reasons for everyone, how fast that flew. But then sometimes when you look back to what you did 3, 4, 5 years ago, especially in terms of business, it can feel like
a lot has changed. A lot has changed.
Exactly. So on that path, and this is some nice research that you shared with me actually last week, Natalie, on the scaling side of things, where when you looked especially into the Shopify, the e-commerce ecosystem, this is something that we ran into around 2019, where we're bringing affiliates in. The network is kind of working. It's working in terms of if we get the affiliate program into our newsletter, we know we can get affiliates for that brand. And of course, they're paying on a commission basis, so the ROI is there. But then the question is, well, how do we scale this channel? How do we do even more? So, of course, that eventually led us to what we're doing now. But in the interim, of course, Facebook was kind of the elephant in the room in terms of advertising. So what did you see, especially with respect to how the Shopify and the e-commerce merchants are working with Facebook as a way to scale their marketing?
Yeah, well, I think it's pretty obvious that at the moment, Facebook marketing is is quite an essential channel for brands to get traffic and get eyes on their brand. And I think what is very clear as far as what a lot of brands are experiencing is the expense of Facebook advertising. It's become essential, but at the same time, it's so competitive and as a result, so expensive. So, and I mean, it also takes a lot of time. I think anyone that's invested in Facebook advertising knows that it takes a lot of resources, but it also takes a lot of time to get your Facebook pixel going and matured enough to actually get you the results. So that's the biggest resistance at the moment as far as the competition and, the cost to scale, and this is, I guess, where influencer marketing really becomes an ideal alternative, but an opportunity. I wouldn't even say an alternative, but it is in its own right and its own opportunity to scale.
Exactly, and we've found that in our journey in recruitment, and especially with what the kind of the buzz terms, nano and micro influencers. So we're not talking the Kim Kardashians, The Rock, who might charge you $1 million or 6 figures per post. Here we're talking what are referred to as micro influencers, but even someone here, and this is a profile from our own app, Taylor Franklin, who's done some successful collaborations with many of our own brands. You can see it's a little bit of an eye test, but over on the right side, see Taylor has a nice social media reach in terms of 65,000 followers. Her engagement rate below that also is 3.4%, which means she's getting likes or comments on 3.4% of the reach of her post, which is a very good rate. So that is an alternative to sending money to Mark Zuckerberg, is to partner with somebody like Taylor, who you can probably do a collab with for really, to be honest, a few $100s on the pay-per-post side of things, or perhaps a combination of that plus a commission type setup. And then what we're looking at is to make sure her content is going to be a fit for your brand. And we'll get to that in a moment, but I just kind of want to show the reach that we can achieve without setting up a $10,000 a month type of Facebook campaign is almost where we found sort of this arbitrage or value in the influencer world. And again, with sort of the micro influencers, that 10,000 to 100,000 or up followers. And then again, the key is that high engagement rate. And then we'll talk about the focus also to make sure everything's aligned, but as a much more cost-effective way for you to get your brand across, and also for it to be authentic and coming in terms of the recommendation from the influencer. So, I mean, in this example here, Alexa, hi, I'm the blonde behind the Blonde Vibe blog. So again, a very specific focus here. She got the puggy named Snoop Dogg. If you want her Snoop to promote your product, I mean, it could be an awesome fit. Or it could be completely in left field. But that's the cool thing about influencer marketing, is that we've got 7,000 plus influencers, at least in our world, that we're working with. And we kind of use our metrics to slice and dice. But I am getting a little ahead of myself there. I will go ahead and bring Natalie back on this one, because when we're looking at, we just went over a couple examples of micro influencers. So let's use that example. So we've got in our own database now 7,175 influencers. So up from the time that we wrote the copy on the GoToWebinar side. But how do we find the ideal influencer to work with? So you've got this brand, and Natalie, you just wrote the piece on our top 210 influencers to watch in 2021. It's all across the map. We've got people from our friend Olga, who is big in fashion, to our friend Mark Ryan, who's a big health coach and big on Hashimoto's disease. So again, if your product is in one of these focuses, these are great people. Otherwise, you may want to, we'll kind of continue on. But what are you looking for, Natalie, when you do these roundups on our website, and how do you sort of select these ideal influencers from if we take it from the perspective of a brand owner?
Right. Well, I think this is where it's really overwhelming from a brand perspective to find the right match. And I think it's simple, but I think because we are very much involved in it, we really look at the influencer's content. That's, I think, the first key indicator of their fit in a particular category. And the best way to measure it is not necessarily what they write or post on their bio, which could be misleading. And sometimes influencers may not be the best at representing themselves on their bio. The go-to way to find an influencer match is really to look at the last 6 to 9 posts, the content pieces, the most recent content pieces. That will give you an indication of the category match for your brand. And then secondly, I mean, there are other secondary layers to it as far as what size of influencer you're looking for, because you have all the way, you've got your nano to micro to mega influencers, and that all, will place your brand, will filter in influencers to match your brand. So, I mean, that's really just the summary. I think we will go into detail and cover, the depths of influencer profiles. But when you're really looking at matches, it's really about assessing the content, determining the following number, if it's suitable for your target audience reach. And then secondly, I think, the basic metrics of engagement rate, which we've just looked at, and audience demographics. So those are the real basics that we look at as far as matching brands with influencers.
Great. Yeah. Thanks, Natalie. And to your point, yeah, we will hop back into that world, into the specifics in terms of the selection of the influencers. In terms of our 5 steps of influencer recruitment, and this is going back to my days as an affiliate manager, the sort of the be all end all for me was always, and even if we take a higher level step to online marketing, be all end all for me was always inbound leads, inbound phone call. And that's what we're here. That's what we're all about. My first job in marketing was actually a sales job, cold calling, and that's enough of an experience to make you never again want to do anything outbound related. So I always took the approach from the affiliate marketing side that we wanted affiliates to come to us if possible. Of course, we do some reach outs on our side, but the more that we could get to come to us, the better. We're taking that approach here in the influencer marketing world, where when we're talking about how do we find that needle in the haystack, well, the best thing to do is kind of get a magnet, make the needles come to you. So we're doing that here, where we are posting what we're calling a collab op. And this has been a very effective strategy for us, where we take a brand that we're working with, and we post their profile not only in our app, but also to kind of dial in the specifics here in terms of what they are looking for. So for example, at the top of our screen here, we have Kira Grace, which is a yoga brand. So of course, very specific in terms of they're looking for fitness, yoga, wellness influencers. They're willing to pay up to $50 a post. They're looking for female followers. They would like influencers with 10,000 or more followers. They know their age demographic, and this is what we're looking for when we are posting this opportunity. So then the inbound influencers that are coming to Kira Grace meet these requirements. To Natalie's previous comment, we would like to see yoga in the previous 6 posts. We would like to see yoga in nearly all of the posts when we're going to match somebody up with Kira Grace. So same with the skincare brand. We want skincare to be the focus there, or makeup specifically as a makeup brand, and that's how we are doing this. So with that, well, I'm going to kick it over back to poll number 2 here with Jamie and Adam on the media side. So if we want to go ahead and fire that up, and what we're going to do is go ahead and look at how we're doing the compensation today. So our first poll, we talked about who we're working with, and it looked like it was a pretty good balance between affiliates and influencers as the majority. So here we're talking about how we're compensating our partners. So again, affiliate, of course, more likely to be commission only. On the influencer side, you do see a mix, and we're going to sort of transition into this, which is why we wanted to get a reading on how everyone out there is doing their compensation today. Commission may be attractive to an up-and-coming type of influencer. Pay-per-post may be something that we want to do to work with a higher-end person, as many of our top influencers do want to be paid upfront today. And then, of course, free product. If we do have a makeup product, or in Kira Grace's side of things, if they got a yoga collection, they may do a free product out there for the influencer to do in the post. So commission, of course, as we can see the results here, very popular. Pay per post, not quite half, but something that people are playing around with, which is cool. And then, of course, on the free product side as well. So we're gonna now we're gonna kind of share some numbers on what we are doing on the pay-per-post side as we get into the specific categories. So again, these are very popular columns on our site. So we found this to be a nice way. This is what we were doing back in the day with the old ECA newsletter. And again, as a marketing person, I always love to have my company kind of grouped with what people are looking for. So we take the same approach with our brands and our merchants, where Natalie and I kind of get, well, actually, probably Natalie's idea. I'm just taking credit for it, where Natalie decides to group our hemp and CBD brands into one category, our fitness brands into one category. And we kind of started off Influencer. We just searched the web looking for, we were almost like a news coverage before we had our own brands that we were working with. So we kind of searched the web, and then we started working specifically with brands and looping them into our fold. So maybe Natalie, if you could talk to what you look for in a brand before, and especially their partner program, before we kind of go ahead and before you will, spill some ink on them.
Yeah. I think, well, it's actually, I find it very important to mention the demand of these category features. We have a large network of influencers, and these features, like our influencers really hop onto these so quickly. So I really take pride and pleasure in featuring brands into these lists. And I think as far as like who makes the list, which it is competitive, but I mean, you do tend to see a pattern, and that's really, from a brand quality point of view, a product quality point of view, because essentially this feature really is a pitch to the influencers. We are putting this in front of influencers in these categories, and we are trying to sell these brands and put them forward to incentivize collaboration. So as far as the quality of the brand, quality of the product, but also the attractiveness of the influencer program, the reward program. And I think, the goal in a feature is to promote the brand, but also to create a level of credibility. And I think that's a critical layer in the influencer marketing space. And I feel like that definitely is something that an objective that we try to meet in these features.
Yeah, great point. And like we were talking yesterday, Natalie, anyone really worth it these days, they want to get paid up front. So that's kind of where the pay-per-post comes in. And that's where I would encourage, I think we had about 38% of our respondents doing the pay-per-post. That's where, and this is kind of where we're getting into, is going to be the specifics on how much to budget per influencer on the pay-per-post side. But we would encourage you to consider going into that, because again, You're paying Facebook up front, you're paying Google up front. You can get into the pay per post world, really just kind of paying a few $100s per influencer up front and get your feet wet. So we find there to be good value there. But again, it's all about dialing in that criteria, which we are going to give here over to step 2. So and we've talked about this, but making sure the interests are aligned. So beauty product, we're looking for beauty influencers. So I've kind of got our criteria aligned in here where, let's say, we're only shipping to the US. This is location in the upper right. So we want to do the US. You saw our criteria before. So based on gender, we could do that. And then let's talk about that 10K follower mark also, Natalie, because you were pointing that out yesterday as well. How much do you think we would, if we're targeting someone with 10,000 or more followers, and let's use Instagram as the example, being the popular medium, what are we paying them?
Well, at the moment, the market rate is $10 per 1,000 followers. So with a community of 10,000 followers, you're looking at $100. So, and I think this is, it's very interesting to see the insights to the poll that was just taken, and what the kind of trend is, and what people are paying. But I think as far as creating those criteria, because I think brands obviously want to get in front of very influential content creators. So it might be very easy to put a target out there and reach like 100,000 follower accounts. However, there is always a price to pay. The more followers you want to reach, the higher the pay per post. So unfortunately, commissions, they do work, but they do work for your more micro or nano really influencers. As far as quality and reaching quality larger audiences, I think brands really need to look at compensating their influencers to match, the kind of audiences that they're trying to reach.
Right, exactly. Yeah, and just jumping in from my recent experience, I think what we're seeing with the brands that we're working with, we've found that $50 to $100 pay per post offer can be pretty compelling. And to Natalie's point, can get you that 10,000 follower person. I have found that, and maybe it's the economy, but with the scaling, it doesn't necessarily scale linearly. You might be able to get a person with 100,000 or more followers, so you could get a female beauty influencer in this case. And maybe $400 or $500 would close that deal versus $1,000 if we were talking about that list rate. So I have spoke with influencers who are maybe interested in doing something around $400 or $500 a post, even if they are up in that range. So that's where we're kind of moving to with the next step. So we're inviting now. We've got the inbound coming in with the collab. So what we do is we post this somewhere. I mean, we're doing it on our side. Of course, if you're on another platform, it's all about getting the influencers to where that is posted, and we're looking for people who meet that criteria and your budget. And this was actually a search that I pulled from our example. I kind of upped our followers to 20,000, but we see our beauty influencers, female, United States, they've got 20,000 or more. They've all got Instagram. And then this is a nice place where we can click and go through. And the way that we have it set up is that if you wanted to invite Alexa in the upper left or Alexandra in the upper right to join your collab, then it would be a one click, and then we would present your collab to them. They receive it in their inbox and they get a notification in the app. So let's stay on the beauty trend here thread and talk about what we're looking for from influencers we feature. Big surprise, Natalie wrote this feature. She wore all the hats early in 2020. We have brought on a couple more writers on the influencer side who are taking some of the heavy lifting off of her plate, while we throw more on her plate on the brand side of things. But she did a popular piece for us, top 21 beauty influencers for 2021, featuring, to be honest, 21 great influencers who really meet a lot of the criteria that we were talking about. So Natalie, what went into the selection for this piece?
A lot of research really does go into these features. I think it goes way beyond just looking at an Instagram profile. We look at all the types of content that an influencer produces, whether do they only post pictures or are they also video creators? What platforms are they active on? Are they Instagrammers? Are they also YouTube creators? Do they do tutorials? Are they on TikTok? Are they bloggers? Can they write? We look at all these content creating skills of these influencers, and we basically we research into their influence and see just how influential they are, but also their capabilities. So we really dig their profiles up, And, another thing that we do look into is their collaboration experience. We look at what previous sponsorships or partnerships they've done. And, we really thoroughly investigate these profiles. So when we feature them or when we have an influencer within our network, we're really looking at the quality of their content in their category and their capabilities. Yeah.
Right. And we've really had a fun journey with Kate, actually. It's funny, right? We've had at the Kate experience, we've had a great experience with Kate where she started off, she was a reader of ours and she was on our site. And Kate, really an up-and-coming influencer who's really expanded her reach in 2020. She does an awesome job with these product reviews. As you can see, she gets into them. She does the post. She sends traffic to that site. When we saw when Kate was really started, she was kind of like a rising star where her engagement was off the hook. And you knew that it was only a matter of time before she grew her following. And the smart brands, they've started working with Kate early on, and some were even able to have her work with them on a commission basis. And now she's expanding, of course, and doing some pay-per-post stuff. But Kate's exactly, I think, the type of influencer who, if you've got a product that is well aligned with her content, if she's up for working with you, I mean, that could be a great partnership. And again, because she's up and coming, there's, it's sort of a real nice win-win because you help her kind of build her influence, but also she can sell a lot of product for you for, let's be honest, the investment, it's almost something that you can't beat. But it is all about the alignment here where beauty product, Kate would be a great fit. If we're looking fashion, we may look at a fashion piece, so on and so forth. Okay, and then
on that note, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead, Natalie.
Oh. Sorry, on that note, Brett, and I think, this is where I would really like to highlight the potential as far as curating content for brands, like as far as collaborating with influencers, driving traffic and getting sales, are just like, that's just half of the potential objectives that you can accomplish with influencers. One real overlooked advantage is really curating product content, whether it's photography, videography, even getting reviews or tutorials. I mean, that is such an opportunity for brands to curate their content in a very cost-effective way, because we all know hiring a photographer, videographer, or paying someone to do this is very costly. So you can hit a number of birds with one stone in a collaboration.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And we know from our experience with the brands that the content creation that you do on your end adds a lot of value for them. From our standpoint, we work with, of course, influencers ourselves to help promote Affluencer. And as we were talking earlier in the week, we like to just let them fly with whatever they want to do. They know their followers the best. And it's funny, we do see when they send traffic our way, we'll see huge spikes when they share something, especially our highly engaged influencers, which who we're working with. So it's a real exciting way. We've kind of built our entire company just that way, from honestly zero in 2019 up to where we are today in 2021. And that's a great point. A lot of it has been just off of the content creation of the influencers that we do work with. On 18, we got the one final poll here. So let's go ahead and Jamie and Adam, if we can get that one up here. So we're going to collect one final piece today. So in terms of what you're working with on the influencer side today, are you working with influencers? Kind of yes, no, thinking about it. And then as we wait for those results to roll in, let me kind of talk to our final point here. Well, actually, this is step 4 of 5, which is what we call our influencer inbox. So whether or not you're working with them today or not, if you happen to post a collab with us, you soon will be, because we do get applications coming in for your collabs as soon as that day. So again, the results here, so over half already, so that's cool. And then we've got some soon and some pondering. So as you're coming up on it, or as you're looking for new channels to do it, this is how we organize it for our brands and our merchants. And this has been a nice way to organize things. So when we post that collab, or we have people reach out and invite influencers to the collab, we kind of give you an inbox, kind of like your email inbox, where we present the influencer to you and we say, yes, no, would you like to accept the person? So our old friend Taylor Franklin in the upper left, when we accept her to our collab, and then we do a mutual email intro where we can kind of get that discussion going. Oftentimes, since we're coming from the affiliate world, we do have the influencer sign up for that brand's affiliate program. So you can see in the upper right is a sign up form powered by our partners and friends at Refersion. So Refersion does the affiliate tracking side of things for people, and we partner with them in many cases. And when we are recruiting influencers for a Refersion powered affiliate program, what we'll then do is we'll encourage that merchant, and we've got kind of email copy that helps you out with that, but we encourage them to send people to sign up for that program on Refersion. And then what that lets them do then is they can also kind of tack on the commission side to that referral basis, and they can also then partner, figure out that whatever pay-per post needs there may or may not be on top of that. But that's kind of how we're doing things. We're making the introduction. We think of ourselves as we are filling that pipeline for that Refersion account. So that's our job, is just to get influencers into that account. That is our sole mission, and we're really going for those high impact folks. And again, as aligned with all the interest and everything that we've talked about here. So same idea, ShareASale, Kira Grace, who we talked about earlier, they are running their affiliate program through ShareASale, and we are sending, of course, the influencers who they speak with to get signed up for their ShareASale account. And when we do the email intro, this is how the emails look. So I've kind of got two examples, and these are actually from our own collabs. When an influencer applies and use the brand manager, you can approve or you can kind of back burner. So when you approve, that's kind of the key moment. Then we make the email intro, and that's when we start that conversation. And if I wanted Mari or Jody to sign up for our affiliate program, I would send them over to, for example, afluencer.refersion.com or wherever I had that program running. All right. So on that note, we will wrap it up. I just had a couple last minute updates, and then we will get into questions here. So we do have a new Afluencer app. We actually just launched it in the Shopify App Store last weekend. So very exciting stuff. If you happen to be on Shopify, you can check our app out. It's a one-click add-on to your Shopify store. And then we've got a couple actually additional features that are available through our Shopify app where you hook your product directly in there. We can do a collab for that product. We also give you a little Shopify badge so that our influencers know your Shopify store, as that carries, nice little cachet as well. So for Shopify folks, we do have a new app available in the store. And with that, let's go ahead and we'll get into any questions.
So the first question coming through, Brett and Natalie, is as a self-funded startup gig, I'm struggling to find influencers that get traction. How do I know if their followers are genuine?
Oh, good question. Yeah, it's all about the genuine followers. So let me go ahead and flip back to one of our influencer profiles, and let me see if I can get okay. Let's look at, so if we look at Alexa's Instagram Insights, so these are over on the lower right. So what our app does, and Natalie, I'll talk to you from our app standpoint, and then you were doing the hustle of what store owners are doing today. So you'll know the manual way. Let me tell you what our app is doing on the integration side. So we have our influencers, we highly encourage them to connect their Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter accounts to Afluencer so that we can kind of check these things for you. So in this case, when we do get a connection, it's displayed in the Instagram Insights, which you see in the lower right. So very encouraging sign with Alexa is that her engagement rate is a high 3.4%, which again shows that these are active followers. The country breakdown is also going to be important. So the top 10 countries, the countries that those followers are in, is also going to be indicative. US is number one. And if you're a US-based brand, and I assume if you're a self-funded US-based brand, this is a good sign as well. So these are kind of what we're doing on the Instagram Insights in terms of making sure that these are real. And then as we look at to Natalie's point on the 6 previous posts, then we also want to see what the engagement is on those. So it's one thing to pay for followers, but it's another thing to get all of the comments and sort of that stuff more or less has to happen organically. You can buy some followers to a point, but you can kind of tell when the account is dead and there's nobody home. So Natalie, has that been your experience? What were you doing when you were kind of hustling on your own?
Yeah, no, for sure. And I think while there are 2 layers to, I think the question that's asked, like he says he's struggling to find influencers that get traction. So I think the first layer is actually finding an influencer match. And I mean, we've discussed the dynamics that go into that. But then secondly, there's the collaboration dynamics. And I think, there's so many critical success points that make or break a collaboration. So for example, if you're just offering a commission-based reward system and it might not be competitive, you will automatically, you get what you pay for at the end of the day. So you basically, your pool or your quality pool of influencers become very limited. So I think this is where I think it is very vital to match your compensation program to attract top influencers. A top reward system attracts top influencers because the market space is saturated. You have a lot of creators, a lot of profiles with followers. So I think as far as, getting a quality collaboration going, compensation is a critical factor.
Yeah, and then just to top that off and put the cherry on the cake in terms of budget, and this is my advice. I have a good friend who has a startup, and he's been, recently pitching Influencer to his exec team in terms of what they need to get going, and they're trying to reach travel influencers. And what I told him is what I would tell a bootstrap startup, and this kind of goes for any marketing channel. I think you want to budget $1,000 or maybe at least $2,000 for that initial campaign. Now you can get some good, traction off of that, where we can get those $100 a post influencers. But I think you want to be comfortable trying that 10 or 15 times, which is where we're talking about that budget. And, we would talk about that for any platform. If you're going to start doing ads with Facebook, you're going to start doing ads with Google, it's going to cost some money up front. But that's where, if to have an honest kind of run at it, that would be my advice in terms of your initial budget.
Brett, you've mentioned such an important point, which is try it a few times. And I think maybe a lot of brands will try it once or twice and then reach a conclusion, and this is, probably an opportunity to identify the benefits of working with micro influencers. So yes, you could have that $1,000 budget. The advantage though is maybe try and run a collaboration with 10 or 15 influencers to actually get some data and reach conclusions, because one or two collaborations, you can't really say if something's working or not.
Great. So we move on to the next question. The next one, Brett and Natalie. So do you see the same results generally compared to micro, macro, mega influencers besides the volume?
No. Brett, do you want to take it?
Yeah, I think, sure, Natalie. Yeah, per investment, no, I agree. I mean, I think no. Not that you wouldn't get more of a traffic and sales impact on the macro, or should we say larger follower side, than you would on the micro side. But would it be, if I'm interpreting, would it be disproportionate? Let's say we're doing $100 per post to 10 micro influencers versus $1,000 a post to a macro influencer. Would that be any different? I think that would be pretty equal. I would actually prefer to kind of diversify the portfolio and go with the 10 micros would be my take. But really, they should kind of work out even. The advantage might be, as I said earlier, it's not necessarily scaling linearly today. So you might be able to get the macro influencer with 10x the followers for $500, which may be a little bit of an opportunity there, to then work with two macro influencers at 500 versus 10 at what we were talking about. So kind of the spend the same, but really it kind of slices and dices equal. I do think it breaks down at some point, because when you get into the mega influencers, you're just losing your focus. So that's where a lot of the headlines that you read about how influencer marketing doesn't work, I think we're talking about the mega influencers. And I would agree. It's really tough to get ROI on $100,000 a post, but $100 a post is very easy to get ROI on that. So that's kind of my take, is that it does break down that relationship at some point, but I think into the 100K plus, you can still get pretty good focus. What do you think, Natalie?
Yeah, no, I mean, to your point, I think when you're looking at micro influencers, their engagement rates are much higher than your macro influencers. Your micro influencers have engagement rates of 10% plus, which is quite large. As the larger the following, the larger the community, the lower that engagement rate drops. So you'll actually find, from an influencer marketing strategy, I definitely think that diverse portfolio you talked about, having rather a number of micro influencers, and maybe if your brand strength is strong enough to invest in a mega influencer. I think it could be a test. But I think in the macro influencer space, your engagement rates are so much lower. Your category quality as well is not as clarified as it is with your micro influencers. So I think there are different kind of characteristics to the sizes of these audiences, and I think that's what brands need to look at, and that ultimately affects the results of a campaign.
The next one up is, how do you manage the synergy between influencer program and the marketing/ads team that use UGC for ads? UGC, so user generated content, I believe they mean.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I got you. Yeah, I don't know if I'm the right person. I just kind of let them. I just kind of let them rip on the influencer side. So I'm maybe I'm not the best person to ask in terms of how we sort of moderate stuff, because I just let them go. I'm always of the mindset, like, however people want to run with our brand and represent it, I am cool with. So I just let them fly. I give the minimum instructions that I can, because I just want them to create something that resonates with their followers. And I'm always more of a conversion guy. I never cared if a landing page is ugly. If it converts, cool. I mean, these days, the higher converting landing pages are usually prettier anyway. But again, I'm always about conversion. So what the influencer is doing is sending people to our site. If that works, that's cool with me. So I'm not too sensitive on content. Do you have any thoughts on that, Natalie?
Yes, I do. I think when I did that coverage on the Shopify and the Facebook, what's happening in the Facebook space, Facebook ad space, I think an idea, and we're giving this to you for free, is a very good strategy, rather, that would be very cost effective for brands, anyone that's spending in Facebook ads, is to perhaps in your initial brand awareness campaign, is to work with influencers. That channel is much cheaper than your Facebook ads that are cold targeting your audience. And then secondly, you could run a retargeting campaign, which, as you all know, is much cheaper. So, I mean, the two have, they do complement each other. Your influencer marketing and your ad campaigns, they do complement each other. And if you carefully structure it, you can actually save a lot of money, and it works. It works.
Perfect. Okay, next up, what is a good range for conversion rates to sales and also on leads?
Do you have any data on the conversion, Natalie? Otherwise, I can give my thoughts on it.
Well, I think as far as your general, I think it does depend on your industries, but your conversion rates, I think you're looking at 2 to 3%. I think those are the general e-commerce conversion rates. But I think that's like the second layer. The first layer really is your click-through rates, and in your influencer marketing space, those are much higher, and those really depend on the the engagement quality of your influencer. So that's really where a brand would have an advantage. So if you have a larger number of traffic coming to your website, and your conversion rates, as that really is influenced by what's happening on your website and other dynamics to your brand that may not be influenced by the influencer. However, as far as getting that traffic to increase your conversion numbers, I think it's very profitable from a influencer channel point of view.
Perfect. There's a couple questions coming around kind of integration. So does your software integrate with other affiliate platforms? And a few people have mentioned either kind of ClickBank or HubSpot.
Yeah, Jamie. Yeah, so we work with all of those platforms. I guess the quote unquote integration, it's not fair. We do the intro, and then on that sort of reply email is when we would tell the influencer to go ahead and sign up. So we don't drop them directly into HubSpot or directly into your affiliate marketing platform directly. We're kind of leaving it off at the intro email today.
Perfect. And then people have asked about kind of the cost. So I don't know if you want to kind of give an overview of your pricing plans.
Oh, sure. Yeah. So we do have, So we've got stuff available from free. If you wanted to post a collab for free, we would be happy to let you do that as a, thank you for attending today. And then we have plans from $49 a month up to $199 a month, depending on the level of exposure that you're looking for your collab. But to get a collab posted, just requires a quality brand and a quality collab. And then we're happy to post that for you. And then depending on the level of exposure that you're looking for, $49 a month would be the starting there. To get started, afluencer.com/register. That's going to be in the upper right. That's going to have you register your brand with us, which is a very quick process. And then on the collab creation, that's something that it takes you about, Natalie wrote a great guide on it, about 5-10 minutes to go through where you're selecting the criteria, something our team is happy to help you out with. On that side of things, both pay per post ops and commission ops available. If you choose the free plan, you'll have to choose one if you're doing, or you could jam both your pay per post and commission ops into one. We do have some brands, and there's on the premium tiers where we do split them up for them, so they could advertise a pay per post and they could do a commission because they might have different criteria and different payouts. And then of course they're going to attract different levels of influencers on each one. So we found that to work well also.
Perfect. Okay, next up is if your brand does not have budget for a collaboration, how can you make your proposal more exciting for the influencer?
Good point. I will I'll give my thoughts and we'll get Natalie's as well, since she's great at adding the sizzle on them. Okay, so assuming we have no budget, I assume we're talking pay per post, and maybe we've got the ability to do some commission because that's going to be at least on the back end after sales come in, or free product. So I think that's what we're on to then, is that we would try to make that commission offer as generous as we can. My old rule of thumb with commissions, I always ran generous commission percentages because my reasoning as an affiliate manager is that I would rather give the money to our affiliates than to Google or Facebook. So if I could figure out what my cost of acquisition was that I was happy with, I would just use that. So for example, we had a SaaS, Leadina was a SaaS company, and we paid, we started with a 30% recurring commission, and we ended up doing with 20 because Shopify ended up taking a cut. But we were more on the generous side for the SaaS world because I just tried to make it as attractive as possible. So I think I would split it up because you can always adjust your commission down the road, but I would try to make that as high as you can. A free product is always good. And then you also want to make your product or your brand as good as possible. And you have any thoughts on that, Natalie?
Yeah, I think, well, you've summed it up. And I think, we do understand that brands do start off with minimal budgets. And of course, yes, the competitive commissions and offering free products, yes. However, those kind of compensation packages will likely limit your reach to nano influencers or very small micro influencers. So I think that's an awareness to have when you do offer such a reward package, that you will likely be limited as far as the quality of your influencers.
Perfect. And then quick one here. Does your app offer a marketplace for offers for influencers?
We do, Jamie. Yeah, that's what we use our collabs for. So you create multiple collabs. It would be one for each offer that you're doing. Our collabs by default last for 3 months. You can renew one if you would like to do it. We do expire them if you do not renew, and we do that because we always want the brand manager, yourself, to be active. Make sure you're actively managing the offers. We have the same requirement of our influencers, by the way. They need to look awake and respond in quick time to any brand offers as well. So that's kind of the requirement we have on both sides. But as long as you're managing the brand, then you could create multiple collabs. That would be on a premium type of setup if you want to do more than one collab. But that's how we would do it. And then in the newsletter, which we showed earlier, we can kind of, let me see if I can get the screenshot is back here, but we can kind of slice and dice that, where we would have the pay per post ops up top, and then lower down in the newsletter, we would have different type of commission-based ops.
Perfect. So next one is kind of, if all advertisers offering standard 30% rev share, how can we highlight our offer and reach more affiliates and influencers?
Sure. Yeah. The easy answer for that, and I'm sure Natalie would chime in with the same thing, tack a little pay per post on and you're at the top. You can even reduce the 30% to 20% if that's what your competitors are. But honestly, if you go $50 to $100 a post, then you're going to be at the top of the list, and then you're going to get your pick. Now, I get if we're on a limited budget, we're going to be hesitant to do that. But being perfectly honest, you got to be able to dump $1,000 into kind of any marketing channel in my experience. So it's just something I would feel strongly about. If you come up with that budget, $50, $100 a post, you're going to get it at the top of the screen, and you're going to leapfrog everyone who's commission only.
Yep. No, for sure. Yeah, no, I mean, unless you have a really brilliant product or service that's, your influencers can't wait to get their hands on. I mean, those are the other dynamics that would make a brand stand out. But like to Brett's point, absolutely. I think to get a competitive edge, I do think pay-per-post compensations are game changing.
Okay. And then next one up, guys. Do you find when promoting services rather than products that there are unique qualities to look for in the influencer?
Do we? Yeah. So assuming no specifics on the services work. It's a matter of slicing and dicing the interest. So we've glossed over it a bit, where you see the interest there under the third line. There's the brand, location, interest on each listing. We actually have 34 of those. So that's kind of the key in terms of getting the offer. Now, products are, I think, the most popular in terms of influencer side of things. But again, it is all about the targeting. So services can work, but it's about getting that alignment focused. And I guess that's, if I talk about our own collab, that's what we're doing. I mean, we're more of a service than a product that you would buy off the shelf in terms of influencer. So we are more looking, but we have that in our collab write-up that we're looking for influencers who can help us get in front of other high-end influencers and in front of their brand. So I kind of took care of that in the collab write-up more so than the targeting. Do you have any thoughts on services, Natalie?
Yeah, I think like you've said, it really comes down to that category match. And I think that's where brands need to pay attention to. And I think as far as our premium customers, I do think we do like check these things for them. And you do find some brands may mismatch themselves. And I think, if we see that their brand or service falls in a particular category, we will help them realign their collaboration. But I do think it does come down to matching their categories.
Perfect. So next up, what are some of the ways you adjust influencer targeting for clients having pure direct response goals as opposed to caring about brand exposure as a metric?
It's pretty similar to what we do, I think, on the phrase. Just we would refine the targeting, and we would work with you to refine the targeting. So we may only have one interest. You may not even want 3. So if you're doing in our top example here, yoga product, we may just do yoga, and we don't want anyone who is not 100% yoga focused. I might keep the pay-per-post because we want those higher end people. So I might keep that aspect. You can add the commission in there. And then we just target everything. And what we do is we also, this is an option that we have, but we can restrict the applicants to only people who meet your criteria. So there's 2 ways you can do the criteria. You can list it, but not restrict it, or you can list it and require it. So we can just really narrow that in so that we kind of restrict that and see who comes in. And we also do have humans on our team, which is kind of a nice aspect also, where we have an influencer concierge. She works directly with the influencers. We have a brand concierge who works with Natalie and our brands, and they're able to kind of pair up where it's kind of like the human mind, where they know someone who can promote something. That's kind of how agencies work in the influencer world. We try to combine them both here. So yeah, I think the ROI, I mean, ROI is kind of something that we're built more for ROI naturally than we are just for exposure. And that's what I would just kind of twist the dials a little more, I think, to focus on the ROI.
Yeah.
Perfect. And quick one, are contracts for rights and usage built into the platform?
Coming to us. So we do a lot of the content creation for you. You can set up your own brand though. You can write your own collab, or you can have us help you with it. So that's kind of up to you if I'm interpreting that correctly. And then on the, anything you would do with the influencer, that would be between you and them on that side. We have guidance in terms of the agreement that, you would do with them. So sorry, hopefully I'm interpreting that correctly.
Yeah, no, I think you did. Perfect. So we've got a scenario here. So if our brand is selling men's underwear, how would you approach a male influencer or female influencer in the wellness space to post a picture about your brand with our product?
Yeah,
in
I think
brackets
that
on
would be it. So we would location. So depending on where you ship, so we might do U.S. based or wherever you're based, and kind of do the home base. Interest would be wellness. Do a little paper post. Gender, male or female, depending who we're looking for. Age group, dial that in, and then we would say in the criteria there, we're looking for a male model or female model to model our underwear, and then they know that that's what we're looking for. And we can also go outbound as well if we want to and look for wellness influencers. And to Natalie's point, we do in our app, actually, when they have the Instagram integration, we display the top 6 most previous posts. And Natalie knows from doing her influencer roundups, we do have some influencer friends. We know they're always in their loungewear, underwear, bikinis somewhere in the world. So that would be a good kind of match to make, I think, for this product.
Yeah.
Great. Well then, final question then for you guys. Does your software track the metrics, impressions, clicks, etc., and give easy access to downloadable copies of the content?
No, we don't track the clicks. So where we will send you to on the clicks, let me go ahead and fast forward. We send you to one of our partners. So if you didn't have anything, we might introduce you to someone at Refersion. They can set you up, track the clicks. It's an easy install, or we can help. Of course, on the Lead Dino side, we can install you, or wherever you're looking for. On the referral side of things, we could help you out on that front to get you going on the click tracking, and that would just be sort of a separate thing. What was the other question on the content? Yeah, the content's going to be posted on the influencer side of things, so you can work that out with the influencer, but most have no problem letting you kind of reuse that content. So that is something that I would encourage you to do with them, or we can kind of help. We can also help with that type of conversation.